Hello, listeners. Welcome to another power packed episode of Courage Talks. Special guest today is Munish Jauhar, corporate veteran, angel investor, ultra runner. He has a secret hobby of photographing birds and going into nature. We'll decipher and unwrap a lot of that. Welcome, Munish.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
So, Munish, a lot of us know what you are today, and the introduction which I gave obviously doesn't do justice to what your background and profile is, but not many people might know about your background. So, take us down memory lane. आपका बचपन कहाँ बीता? How were you as a child? Any lasting memories you have, or anything which you are quote unquote infamous for? Do share.
Sure. I was born in Calcutta, but throughout my life I've been in Chandigarh only. Done my entire schooling, education, everything has been in Chandigarh. And memory बचपन की basically ये थी. I guess I was not a very naughty child. थोड़ा होता yes, but
लिमिट में रहते थे आप.
हाँ, बोलू बच्चा था कि बस.
What was your nickname? What was your pet name?
Donny. So my pet
अच्छा.
name still everybody in the family, everybody calls me Donny only. तो ये था कि बस थोड़ा बहुत इधर उधर ये था. मेरा स्कूल में वो था, यूज्ड टू बी कॉल्ड द शरीफ बदमाश के बदमाशों में एक शरीफ था तो वो शरीफ बदमाश था. बट वैसे ओवरऑल चाइल्डहुड वाज वेरी अनइवेंटफुल. सारा कुछ यूज्ड टू प्ले टेनिस एज द चाइल्ड, पहले लॉन टेनिस, एंड उसके बाद graduation, post graduation, all done from Chandigarh itself.
And the topic, as you know, is Courage Talks. The story is my book Against All Odds, where I describe multiple instances of my father's life where he displayed a lot of courage and went through a lot of tough and challenging times. What does courage mean to you? Any role model that you can cite?
I won't say role model, but for me, courage basically, and this is something as a child also when I used to play tennis, like I said, I guess I was a little overweight, but
Right.
I was not a great player also to begin with. My coach always used to have one compliment to say, this guy never gives up, basically. I would just chase the ball and somehow the goal used to be get it back in again. For me,
Right.
courage has a lot to do with basically perseverance, persevering through whatever good or bad times. So that's something I believe very strongly. That's something I carry also, persevere through everything else. So that in a word kind of summarizes what courage means to me. I won't say role models. A lot of people from different fields kind of inspire you, I guess. Like they say, inspiration is short-lived. Inspiration or motivation are short. Consistency and discipline is what matters.
And what was your goal or ambition while growing up? क्या बनना चाहते थे आप?
वो और भी वेग आंसर, बिल्कुल ही rudderless and ambitionless बंदा जिसे कहते हैं. I was saying this day before Raat also. As I grow older, I guess I start becoming more and more focused. The younger I was completely जैसे कुछ idea नहीं. You were on 10th, सारे दोस्त नॉन मेडिकल ले रहे हैं, चलो I'll also, मतलब not that I wanted to do non medical, but क्योंकि सब ले रहे हैं मैं भी कर लूँ. सब एंट्रेंस एग्जाम दे रहे हैं तो अच्छा मैं भी दे लेता हूँ. Even up to the point I did my masters in computer applications, and I still remember for that exam also मैं ऐसे ही जाके बैठ के went in, उसमें नेगेटिव मार्किंग सारे मार्क करके आ गया. And somehow उस पूरे कोर्स में the last person in the course was me, and I went on the NRI quota.
अच्छा.
My parents had to pay a lot of money to even back 27. And when I got into that also ना, आप यूनिवर्सिटी आते हो, so मेरे को तो उस टाइम वो था घूमना फिरना है. But gradually I started taking a liking to computers and computer science. तब HTML building websites was a brand new kind of thing. वो dial-up modem होते थे. By the second year I was yeah. So by second year मैंने काफी side hustles ही बना ली थी और building websites for people. And I took a very strong liking to थोड़ा सा तब वो हुआ था. I guess that's जब थोड़ा सा वो ambition. So once I kind of settled into MCA, so that became a natural progression.
Right. उसके बाद then what was your next step into the corporate ladder?
Corporate भी वही बोला ना, rudderless, yes. So even there in MCA, you know how it is in placements होती हैं. I was probably placements where I got to a certain point where I was good by then. At least in terms of marks, I started making it to the top 5 in the class or whatever. But I never understood all this. But God was kind. I was placed also in 2 locations. I was the only probably guy in campus who got a foreign. I was placed abroad. But again, being directionless, wo chhod di. So the first I got a job in Delhi. Then I my first job, then I eventually ended up with sister concern of TCS called Tata Interactive Systems. who had
अच्छा,
kind of just set up in Mohali at that time, right next to
right.
Delhi. वो भी मैंने मेरे ख्याल 2-3 महीने करी, and then I joined a US startup. I was placed with a company in the US also, पर तब तक वो 2000 का downturn आ गया, so
अच्छा
I
गया था,
never
हाँ, .com
ended
bus.
up. But I started working with the startup. So वहाँ पे the big advantage is I really learned a lot. I was kind of given, even at that young and early stage, I was given complete charge. I would manage everything, a lot of client interaction. So I learned a lot.
Hmm.
And after that, my last job was with a company called 𝗬𝗏 Media House, which at that point was the largest company in this entire region. They made this publishing software that everybody from New York Times to all your local newspapers back in the day used. I, by that time, had become a product manager before I took the entrepreneurial plunge, so to speak.
And how did it, I mean, back then, I'm sure entrepreneurship and quote unquote startup was very different. So, yeah, idea kaise hai? Was there some growing frustration of not wanting to be in a job, and you, or was it the real strength of the idea of creating something of your own, which triggered you to create GrayCell?
Partly, by the time I got to co-op, probably I started getting this. Now, it's not corporate for me. Also, you realize it's also a lot to do with gaming the system more than the amount you work is also how you
Yeah.
game the system. I guess by that point, I got a couple of larger freelance assignments, and my wife and my dad kind of pushed me that why don't you start your own thing and move in that direction? Because job is something you can always go back to. So probably in around mid 2004 is when I then decided, okay. So I kind of left, resigned from co-op, started working out of my bedroom initially.
अच्छा,
And
वो एकदम typical garage setup था आपका.
my little office was built by वो बन रहा था, so by then kind of at least started doing the work. उस time तो चलो it was like a one-man army, and again all these fancy startups वगैरह was all much later in life. उस time तो was
Right.
simply
Yeah.
you start and it's an entrepreneur's journey basically. Post that, I guess everything's been good. God's been kind. Never had to kind of look back and question that decision.
तो आपका पहला असाइनमेंट क्या था? हाउ डिड द होल आइडिया ऑफ पहला कस्टमर कौन था? वाज इट टफ? वर यू नॉकिंग डोर्स?
So again, and I'm going to paraphrase this from a senior from our industry locally. He says to start a business, you need 3 F's: friends, family, and fools. Somebody who. So in my case, it was like a friend. Somebody I got to. Actually, I got to know somebody indirectly via reference, and I'd done their college project, and then the person kind of moved on, and I'm not going to name the firm for now. Joined a large consulting firm, and over there, this was 2004, so I still remember that Iraq war was on. So in that consulting firm, they got a project from the US healthcare from the government basically to build a mental check kind of app and something, and tablets were brand new then. So that was pretty much the first project basically.
क्या वैल्यू थी प्रोजेक्ट की? याद हो आपको तो?
No, I honestly don't remember, but it was big enough for me back then. Much
Big
much
enough
bigger
to
than
celebrate, big enough
my
to feel
annual
proud.
paycheck also. If I,
That's a good point.
it was big enough, and things were very different back then. Because when I started, like I said, initially it was more like a one-man army. Before I would write the code myself before I started out. Gradually started building out, but again, the client, we delivered whatever was supposed to be delivered, and they were happy, and that relationship kind of grew. That probably for our case was the linchpin that around which we kind of started building.
वो दिन है और आज का दिन है, 20 साल से ऊपर हो गए हैं. Did you ever imagine that the same journey would last this long? Did you get distracted trying to try new ideas? Did you encounter failure?
No. Failure, yes, a lot of times. And failure indirect. I mean, 2008, basically, we grown. Again, like I said at the onset, we were a small and
Yeah.
are still a small business. So 2008, we were working with a client in France. And at that point, this client had come to visit us and he was roaming around. And we were just showing him around Chandigarh and he wanted to buy some eyewear, basically.
Yeah.
He bought this eyewear at retail price from a shop that I showed. And he said, this is dirt cheap. And lo and behold, what I don't know, for lack of a better analogy, what you see as Lenskart today, we built them. We called it 𝗖𝗍𝗶𝗀𝗲. So he became the CEO and I became the CTO, and we started building this. And we probably at that point raised 100,000 euros in funding as well. But that 2008, then the financial markets crashed. Eventually, everything went haywire. So business kind of died. We'd started building it. We built it also. We'd kind of built a virtual try-on then also.
Right.
But that was one setback. And then another problem probably was I would not move around much. Whatever business I got was purely direct referral. I was not aggressive enough in terms of sales of going around here and there and soliciting new work. But I would simply work on that. Ki, chalo, this is coming in. It is fine. So by 2012, I probably got to a stage where I felt I couldn't grow the company. 40, 50 people, 60 people. So it would keep cycling back. And at that stage, met this gentleman who had shifted, who was from the US, but he had shifted back to India for a few years. He was a 3X healthcare entrepreneur. His kids and my kids were in the same school, same classes, coincidentally. My wives got to know each other, and then these guys started playing lawn tennis. So I said, chalo, I'll also pick up the racket again. He started playing hanging. He had actually shifted to India and with his own money, he was running a fund, probably 100 crore fund and investing and start. So he introduced me to this whole concept and this startup world, basically. He got me into Indian Angel Network, and this is way back in 2012. So after that, for at least the next decade, business was always steadily growing. I'm not saying it and you would beat inflation. But whatever profit or money was being made, I would indirectly now start pulling it out of here and start investing in startups. And that went on for almost a decade, which is why the high volume of. So it became like a sprinkle and pray strategy. That's how it typically works at very early stage. During that time, at one point, I was the only guy. There was nobody around me. And this was so new. My nature is also like an all-in kind of guy. Then it literally became all-in. A lot of times when you look back now, first round of Wow Momo was done through Indian Angel Network. But there was so much pressure now, you're putting in money, have you got anything back? So the first sign of exit, which was hardly a 1x, 2x multiple, it took. And this whole game is a weight game. So
of course, patience test.
I would have been sitting on a 3-digit multiple return. That's how you kind of learn also. Through that journey, we ended up we first got to get local entrepreneurs, Chandigarh Angel Network, grown pretty well. So we were also part of the very first round 𝗵𝗫𝗃𝗃 did. So like 8-10 of us from Chandigarh. That's how that journey and started, and that kind of became one part again.
So angel investment say, I have two questions. First one is, when you used to come across these young startup founders, did it make you feel that you missed out on a lot of things because you started early as a startup yourself?
Not really. Honestly, no. I have no such. My learning from there was a lot of times I met founders who were probably, a lot of them were not young also. Some were a lot of, like BBK is 𝗵𝗫𝗃𝗃 is a prime. They were not very young. Think of it like this. Both the founders came from a different background. Both were settled. Like one founder was the guy who was probably the business guy, money, funding, this. The other guy had done he mentioned that I had done a job where in my previous job, I had scaled a biryani chain to 100 plus outlets. Again, we have to think biryani is not a very defensible idea per se. Anybody, you and I can start one more. The whole game is process and scale, I guess. And the second learning, a lot of people who came again mid-tier, I would say, was because they saw problems in their own companies or businesses where they were working. They noticed these problems, and then they would reach out to solve these problems. Okay, this is an issue. Somebody is doing a job for 15 years and they notice that these are bottlenecks and these are problems that can be addressed. So I never had any such thing. More than anything else, it gives you a very positive energy working with these people because they are so driven. As you grow older, that aggression and that spark starts kind of diminishing, so to speak. But these guys were all driven, very focused, very driven, always there, very passionate about what they were doing. So it's been a very positive experience.
Right. So one thing which I have personally experienced is the irrational exuberance of the entrepreneur, which makes you blinded, makes you believe them that whatever they are saying is true. And then sometimes you really get hit hard for getting carried away. Walk us through some failure, some really messed up.
I have many, but my favorite ones probably, like, because you use the word irrational exuberance. So I have a prime example of that as well. So there was this kid locally. His destiny. There is a blind school in Chandigarh somewhere. Probably there. It has this ground outside, and I saw these two blind kids playing pakadam pakadai with somebody running around. And I was like, how? And there's this kid standing there. He said, I built this device that allows blind people to walk.
Acha.
So I was like, very. And this is 2015-16. I'm also peak of investing, Chandigarh Angels, this, that. And see the kids, whole bravado basically. So I said, give me your card. He says, nahi, just Google my name. It'll be the first signature. But by then, I was like, sold. Yeah, this is the guy. God sent me my lottery ticket. And he built the device for sure. And I Googled him. We got something in TEDx. And I kind of introduced him to the entire network. But wahi tha na, he was so driven. I mean, money was such a central thing. So he started raising money from here, there, Africa, all kinds of shady elements. And nothing eventually was built. I really opened a lot of doors. So everybody, he got a little bit funding here, there, everything went away. And the kid disappeared off the radar. And then this demonetization thing happened. And one day in the paper, I read that some kid is arrested in Chandigarh making the highest quality notes. Even the cops are saying that they've never. And it was this guy.
Oh.
Okay. From where to.
I know.
The cops also, it was in the paper again and again, they have never seen such fine quality notes. And he had, again, like an entrepreneur, he had sourced the correct inks, the correct paper from everywhere. His problem was he was too driven by quick money. Obviously, the talent and the skills were there, but that drive, like you said, so sometimes, and this happens very often. Now, probably your defense becomes is that you sleep over it for a few days. Does it still resonate with you again, rather than a blind jumping in and saying yes?
Yeah, that's true. I think my experience is exactly the same. If you allow the opportunity to linger by itself, rather than you trying to keep in touch with the entrepreneur, somehow you start getting the vibe. अगर आप जबरदस्ती ज़्यादा एफर्ट नहीं डालो, 3-4 सोर्सेज से आना शुरू हो जाएं, फिर then you can say, हाँ यार, there's something karmic which is driving this opportunity, driving me towards this opportunity. Okay, let's look at it. But अगर वो नहीं है तो FOMO में तो लगाना is dangerous because
you're right. And probably the industry, you have to look at it now. Post-COVID, it was, I mean, now it's obviously straightened out again with all this innovation happening. But post-COVID, during COVID, everything went to zero. And then all of a sudden, the whole buzzword in IT and became digital transformation. Now, everybody's swimming in money. Even small ones like us, you jump from 40 people to 80 people saying, yeah, there is so much demand. Then everybody wanted to become an investor. Then it was all FOMO driven. But eventually, see, with startups also, obviously, there is no thumb rule. You can't predict what is right, wrong. There's a lot of factors at play. But at least good founders, I've noticed, I've reinvested with founders also failed ones, which is absolutely, every business is not meant to have hockey stick growth. Eventually, that was the case. Maybe I should have made one myself. I'm running a very normal business. It's just a normal thing. For me, even Kiryana, he's an entrepreneur, Kiryana store. He does what he has to do. But the problem that has become is now every person who starts a business says startup. It's not, the word has become a such.
That's true. Asha, when I looked at your profile and looked at your running journey, what shocked me the most is typically ultra runners in today's day and age would have ran for like 10-15 years before they've reached the kind of 100-miler wali awqat. But when I looked at your profile, you started running, 2020 during COVID?
No. So I started 2015 actually. Probably did my first half marathon in 2015. I remember the Airtel Delhi. I remember we'd kind of gone on a vacation and come back. By that time, must be a good 93, 94, somewhere around then. And I used to exercise a little bit. The coach who used to come, he knew me, so he used to call. He started telling me, "Bhaiya, aap sudhar jao, warna kisi din pataka bol jayega pura." It was like that. Us time when I started, and I still remember, it's really hard. I remember first time I did an 18K as practice for the half marathon. I couldn't walk for 3 days straight. Which is something now I genuinely नहीं चाहूँ वो सीढ़ी ऐसे they show ना पकड़ के ऊपर चलना. अभी something like मैं अब बाहर जाऊँ सुबह भाग के 40 भी आ जाना, my legs don't complain. It's ठीक है. Nobody can tell कि मैं 40 भाग के आया हूँ.
बराबर है.
हाँ तो वो था. But ultra मेरे को पता भी नहीं थी honestly. मैंने शुरू करा था simply maybe for weight loss. 2015 करा and ADHM and then उसके बाद maybe February में I did one more half. And 2016 I remember हम ले गए हुए थे summer में. वहाँ पे I remember also the driver showed me. यहाँ से ना रेस शुरू होती है. नहीं, खारदुंगला चैलेंज दिखाया था कि यहाँ से शुरू होती. He
अच्छा
showed me the point actually. So he was
हाँ
taking us around. ना, we were probably going towards नुब्रा. तो उसने
हाँ
रास्ते में दिखाया कि ये यहाँ
या
से रेस होती है. मैं कहा जी कितनी होती है? कहता 72. मैं पागल हो गया, पता नहीं कौन करेगा यहाँ पे सांस नहीं आता. And
हाँ
actually देखो डेस्टिनी है. 3 years later I ran it for the first time.
वाह
Okay, first time I ended up there and I ran the entire route. But
अच्छा
both it is what it is. But by 2018-19 सब casual था मेरे ख्याल. एक full करी थी तब तक. But COVID के time probably the level changed. So I started running a lot more.
But you started to lose weight. At what point of time it moved from losing weight to becoming passion?
2017 या 18, I don't know, अब इस साल I don't recall, but there is the challenge that happens every year, 100 days of running.
हाँ HDOR काफी
Yeah.
फेमस है.
That was my first 17. I remember इतना था कि we were traveling to the US airport पे भी I walked 2 kilometers just to
Maintain your streak.
me and my elder daughter that point. हम दोनों ने
अच्छा
कर भी did. And मैंने उसके बाद छोड़ा नहीं. I kept at it कि चल 2 kilometers walking ही सही every day, whatever.
हाँ
So उससे the first transformation was weight loss because up to that point ना anybody would meet me won't believe me कि अच्छा आप भागते भी हो because
हाँ
if so उस टाइम तक वो होता था if I would run मैं वापस आके डबल खाता था कि I have earned this now. भाग के आया तो खुले दिल से. So probably consistency and discipline उससे आया.
हाँ
From the 100 days challenge, which I did diligently. I end up doing it every year. Maybe sometimes थोड़ा on and off हो जाता है 95. But I try and do that. तो उससे आया था. And 1920 COVID वाले time when the lockdown happened was where
right
I just the seriousness. मैंने एक दो ultra तब तक like I said 2019 I had done 2 ultra. Done one in Mashobra 50K and then this Khardungla challenge also I had done in 19. I did Comrades also, I forgot, sorry. The first Comrades I did was not, but by that time I would still say on the running masa. Comrades I remember is like a 12-hour cutoff. I probably got in 11:53, 11:54 bus. When the whole throng people were coming in, मैं भी साथ किसी तरह रोड निकल गया था. Very painful. But वही था last में कहीं somebody turned up on the street, I remember. पंजाबी ओ पाजी उसी चक्कर में आए कि चलो निकाल ले जैसे तैसे.
but just like angel investment you had your own partners in crime in running in Chandigarh as well.
So
You had
Chandigarh, I think so in India probably, and I say this even today. हमारे तो अब चंडीगढ़ में we keep joking half the runners are FOMO driven, and I think so we have the strongest ultra community.
अच्छा
I don't think so anywhere in India has anything close to what we have. They're like 15-20 of us जो सारे all minimum जिसे बोलते हैं 100-mile club, people who have done 240-250 kilometer races, and there's a lot of us carry heavy mileage. मतलब I for 5 years had like 50 to 100 kilometers per year. वो target होता था 100 kilometers per week करना ही. And it's a very strong. I genuinely think we would have the strongest ultra community right now.
very interesting. तो अल्ट्रा के लिए you need time. देखिए हाफ मैराथन और फुल मैराथन तो आप काम के साथ कर सकते हो. अल्ट्रा के लिए you need to खींचना पड़ता है टाइम इधर से उधर से. So when you say Chandigarh's got such a large community of runners and especially ultra, is it more driven by need for health? Is it driven by business community who are flexible with time? Or is there some third reason which is driving such?
I guess we are all beyond that point of health and business. The beauty why I love we are all very diverse, very different backgrounds. And when we run, rarely do we actually broach the subject of business. Might casually talk about it, but it's very hard to quantify at times. But why? A lot of people ask now, why do you do this? And sometimes you also question yourself, why are you doing this?
बिल्कुल हर रन में 1.5-2 किलोमीटर के बाद सवाल आता है निकला क्यों मैं यहाँ पे कर क्या रहा हूँ यहाँ पे कुत्ते हैं साथ देने को सुबह सुबह.
Inaugural edition of this Silk Route Ultra happened in 122 from Nubra to Leh, and हम जी शुरू हुए थे. And I remember शुरू में तो for the first 10 it's all fun, everybody and then you're all alone and you can hear everything start. And then even I was thinking यार तेरे घर सब बैठे अभी टीवी देख रहे हैं आराम से. Why do you have to do this? But I guess the funny part is when you finish the race now, that's the time where you say chal one more I'll stop. But again, यहाँ पे it's very diverse. Bonds are also very strong. It can be a fun thing. जैसे I don't know if you've been to this region. So right next to Chandigarh, we have hill station called Kasoli, then Shimla.
Yeah.
So few of us have had this annual thing ke we'll run from Chandigarh to Shimla, which is like 100 plus, and all hills basically. And it's all there's no race, just like that. So, I don't know, annual pilgrimage ke chalo ishwari karni hai, do it. So that's the driving. And wo ho jata hai when one notices a few people have picked up. So yes, it's also been built over time that somebody else has noticed somebody, and then there's that common driving thing. You're right, sustainability is hard. People come, people go. But here it's been, I guess we've all been in this for at least 6 years minimum. And just one more reason probably is Ultra mein the few OGs who started out back in the days, 16, 17, 15. Unme se bhi, like there was Amit Gulia from Chandigarh. There is a thing when you look at it, I still remember first time ever, we stood there is a lake over here, Sukna Lake, same Shimla thing, which is why it's stuck in our head. From the lake, there was a group of people standing. मैं भी शाम को जाके, I said, अच्छा, I'll also stand. They said he's going up to Shimla. So two of us, we also stood, हम भी करेंगे जी. And by the time 20 kilometers, I remember I was calling my driver, भैया आओ उठाओ हमारे को गाड़ी लाओ. We're done. So हमारी तो 21 पे पूरी फूक सरक गई. So that becomes a thing. I don't know. Once you pursue a sport, then it's in your head. I need to maybe do this. So once you have people over there, and once the community is there, there are people to kind of go along with you also. Sometimes it gets lonely. There are people along with you.
Got it. आपका Spartathlon का miss करने का कोई story है? You had malaria. Why don't you just walk us through what happened?
Oh, so Sparta that was probably the toughest setback, I guess, running wise. So again, like I said, two of our Chandigarh guys now. The first one, with Gulia, I mentioned, he had gone for Spartathlon probably 2018 or 19. And that time, Greece had torrential rain, which never typically happens. And around 120 mark, he had to leave the race. Then I remember in 2020, two local people qualified again. And they went for Sparta. And that time, then I also decided this is going to be what I want to do next. And Sparta, typically, you have to qualify for the race. You can't just simply say, the qualification is also either you do a 24-hour stadium run and you clock 180 kilometers, or you do a 100-miler under 21 hours. So that's the qualifier to kind of put your name in. Don't have that, so you can't do that. And both are, I mean, at one point, India की national team में घुसने के लिए ही 180 would have got you into the national team. The bar is raised. 1920 में आप टीम में आ जाते 180.
बराबर. हाँ.
I remember यहाँ पे local event हुआ था, and 24 hours is a lot. So मैंने तो अच्छा करा था, but midway after 12 hours वही होता नहीं, I'm going to leave this. And the guy crewing me, he basically took my car keys away from me. बात में उसने चाबी ले ली. He knew I will drive and quietly disappear. He knew that. And मैं बीच में भी हो गया था, कहीं सोने भी चलेगा कि मेरे को. I was like, तुम लोग मेरे को harass कर रहे हो, तंग कर रहे हो, मैंने नहीं करती. तो इन्होंने फिर मेरे को उठाया कि नहीं. And they kept saying, बस सुबह 4 बजे ना आपकी गेम चेंज होगी. And हुआ. And somehow जिधर मेरे को लग रहा था कुछ नहीं होना, 180 हुआ, 188 हुआ, 193 हो गया. मेरे लिए वो बन गया कि I've qualified, I put my name in, and I got through also. फिर मैंने that's the hardest I would have probably worked in my life.
How did you train? What was your training routine like?
I was doing for June, July, and these are very hot months in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
So June, July, September, I was averaging around a half marathon a day. So 600 plus kilometers a month, the first time around. And I did my typical long runs, which would mean 70 kilometers on Saturday, and then a 20 kilometer again the next evening. I think so I was probably in the best shape. That was the practice, and everything was done, dusted, tickets booked, all done, all sorted. My flight was on a Wednesday, and Sunday, just typically in the afternoon, I thought, okay, just to keep my legs busy, I'll walk for 8-10 kilometers. And at that point, I started shivering or whatever. Pehle laga viral. I remember people came home also. Nahi, aap do hi kha lo, wahan tak loge. But then my wife pointed out, okay, shivering, this is not viral, looks like. And it eventually turned out to be malaria. And the funny thing is, malaria hota bhi nahi. We could not find the medicine also at so many shops. Because they said it doesn't happen anymore. And that's how it happened. So there was no going then. Then I qualified again the year after. Us saal at 125. I was stopped basically. So Sparta is one more race. It's a quicker race. There are 75 cutoff points and 8 stations. So I was stopped at 125. I told them, nahi, I had probably done around 125 kilometers in 16 hours. I had a good 21 hours to do the next 100 odd. But they said no, it doesn't meet the cutoff. So you have to find out. So, and last year again I qualified, but I just couldn't pull the practice together. And like last year, I was pretty much the last guy on the list. The last bib number was mine. Last year I couldn't go only. So abhi, I guess that's my unfinished. Every person has this race in their career. The Achilles heel, if I may say so. Sparta is mine.
Take me back to that moment when they stopped you. What are the first thing which came to your mind?
So they're smart. They do this very professionally. They basically hug you, and by the time you're already in a daze, you have to understand.
You're hallucinating.
Hallucinating clearly. In a daze, and they hug you, and before you realize, they pull the chip off. A lot of people protest, and it's a very natural knee-jerk reaction. But again, like I said, Sparta is different in that. Typically, for a 250-kilometer race, you get around 48 hours. Sparta that way is quick because you have to do it in 36 hours. So weather plays because it gets really hot during the day.
Yeah.
Typically, they kind of, and this is very common. If you go to comrades also, if you're 1 second off also, I've seen so many people वो आपको रोक देते हैं. वो है कि ठीक है, every race वो होता है, you go back. I've done 𝗬𝗏𝗃 twice. Once I did for the 𝗍𝗃𝗃, second time I improved. Comrades were the same. Once I did it, second time I went back with practice and I was an improved version. The first time I did in 11:53, second time was in 8:53.
What?
So there was like a 3-hour improvement. So
wow. Overall improvement, I think आपका एक record होगा 3 घंटे improve करना. The kind of improvement that you did must have been a record by itself.
I was very happy at least. When I went that time also, my target was under 10 hours. But at the end, fag end, I realized maybe sub 9 is a possibility. And 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 में भी यही था कि first time was around 12 hours 23 and the second time was around 9:40. So
and you think you can improve 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 again?
I don't think so by much. 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 is a very different beast altogether. 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃, Silk Route, they're very, the day also has to belong to you. You have to have a good day otherwise also. Because breathing, there's a lot more different factors at play. I guess. That also is the reason.
In Border 100, you had a podium finish. Why don't you just tell us?
Top 5.
How did that happen? Was it again a planned target?
The first border was, I had come back from Silk Route, that year I had done Silk Route. So, and Silk Route was also non-Ladakhi. I was in the top 3. So a lot of people thought, but the first border, I guess, I don't know. I always started a little fast. And then I had this thing of threw up 2-3 times. You can glorify it in whichever way you like. Point was simply I'd quit. By 80-85, I had quit. I was walking next to this guy and he asked me, "Sir, क्या करना है?" मैं कहा, "तू बता क्या करना है?" छोड़ देते. I simply needed somebody to kind of say, "हाँ, छोड़ दो." And it was like a chain reaction. Like I said, Chandigarh gang is there. And then somebody called the organizer, asked in Punjabi, "Jauhar sir, kitne? Where is he?" He says, "गाड़ी भेज दो हमारे लिए, भी हम भी आ रहे हैं." Like dominoes, 4-5 of people just sat down. These days, now I kind of see, and you get to a stage sometimes, it's just your mind playing tricks. It's like life. It's low phase. You have to simply hang it out. It'll go away. It does go away every time. How do you don't let people? So the first time when this happened, I probably left at 80-85. So second time when I went back the year after, there was no such thing of a podium or a top. The goal was simply finish it. And one second target was again that Sparta qualifier, do it under 21 hours. There, the only thing was whenever I would get to an aid station, there were well-wishers, people who would ensure I don't spend too much time. You move quickly from place to place. The race changes like that also. You start in extreme heat, then you move towards cold, and at night, pretty much alone. So, especially in the front, you're alone, basically. There's nobody. It gets a little tough. So the idea is you keep moving. मेरे लिए night works because I'm very alert then. Maybe डर इतना लगता I'm just moving then. But
that's true.
The border has this, like the organizer say, if you finish before sunrise, that's the thing that counts. So I was lucky that time I finished before sunrise.
And sunrise थोड़ा ज़्यादा beautiful लगता है once you finish the race.
वो लगता नहीं. I have that picture. It's my favorite picture. I kind of use it as my Strava DP also.
अच्छा.
बिल्कुल, you see that thing post behind you, and this is just dawn basically. वो बड़ा होता बस.
So I think overall the ultra running is brutal on the body and the mind as well. But
I think it's more to do with the mind. I mean, you might think you're not going to pull off great times or something, but
yeah,
seeing people who are so strong mentally, it's not even locally. I mean, it's just unbelievable. These are the kinds I keep joking के इनकी लात भी काटता हूँ ना, ये फिर भी हटेंगे. In my case, it's a little different. It's been gradual. In between, I became a little competitive. So फिर, like I said, the mind looks at excuses to quit. इतने में तो तूने पहले, why do you have to do it now? You've already done this in 19 hours. Now you're going to do it in 21 hours. But that's just an excuse, actually. You're simply looking at justifying. So mind is the strongest driver, I feel. If somebody who's strong mentally, they might not do it in a great time, but I'm sure they can finish. And that's what kind of separates people who finish. I know so many folks who've gone to border 4 times. Might not be great time, but they finished always. And that's a hard thing to achieve. So mind definitely makes a big difference. Physically, yes, you need to be there. But mind, for me, the primary driver is your mindset.
तो लेकिन अगर आप कंपेयर करो अपने फेलो रनर्स से जो कि सेम रन फिनिश करते हैं क्लोज टू द कट ऑफ लाइन, आप पोडियम फिनिश करते हो, इज इट योर मेंटल स्ट्रेंथ व्हिच हैज हेल्प्ड यू टू डू बेटर इन द पेस एस्पेक्ट, और फिर वहां बॉडी आ रही है?
Then look at it like that. It goes both ways ना. वो आपको हटा भी सकती है और आपको स्पर भी कर सकती है. मतलब it can spur you if you're okay. You're having a good day. It will spur you on के नहीं, no, okay, push yourself, push yourself, push yourself. But at the same time, if you're having a bad day, it can become a deterrent. The same mind will then tell you, leave this now. And then again, all these sports and everything is so much about consistency and discipline. I personally value those people far more than myself. They at least they went to complete something. They've done the job. In my books, I left it somewhere and walked away. I mean, at the end, you can sugarcoat it as long as it's not a serious injury. It's simply, I've realized your mind telling you first. So that's the thing. So I guess now my focus is chalo slowly karo aaram se, but finish what you've started.
So two things. The first one is, by the time you became a good ultra runner, do you think your life before running had anything positive to contribute to you getting there? Number one. Number two, after having achieved multiple ultra runs, has it changed you as a person, as an individual, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a professional?
I'll take the first one. Like I said at the beginning also, the one quality probably, like I said, what my tennis coach said, I persevere, I would not. So at least during the initial days, that was something that kind of got me through. I would not give up. I went through that phase where I would not give up, to the phase where I started giving up a lot. It was a running joke कि ये जाते हैं सब बस DNF होने जा रहे हैं did not finish. But that was probably the only thing I can think of, because I had no sense of physicality. There was no physical trait, I would say, which had any indication that. And I also tell people if I mean, I'm sure anybody can actually, once you get down to it. I've learned a lot from ultra, especially ultra. The first thing is obviously, like you said, because this demands a lot on your time. Even in my work, I've learned to, in shorter spans, I'm more focused now. At least very quick, okay, this is what I need to do and this is what others, not part of my drill basically. I've also learned that failure is hard to, and this happens very frequently in ultras, that there is failure. So I've kind of learned to come to terms, yes, you win some, you lose some, you can't win them all basically. Third thing which has impacted me the most is, and I kind of carry this in my keychain, is run your own race. Don't look at, and this is true in business and in life also. Do what you want to do. Don't be looking at other people. You look at them for inspiration and positive, but they're not going to help you get there. You have to do this yourself.
That's true. And you obviously spoken about the nutrition challenges, handling dogs at night, mental lows that you have gone through. An important element of courage which is not talked about is being vulnerable and allowing your expressions to be shown. Have you cried in public? Have you been able to not hold back your tears in some of these moments?
It's part of the sport. I don't think so. The only one, I still say dogs do get to me, as in I'm careful. But I've also now kind of gradually First, I won't move. Now, at least it is there. I will start walking in front of them. I'll cycle, circle around them, but get on with the task. Karna hai. There's dogs, monkeys, but a lot of times I see there is this race that happens here called the Morni Marathon. So Morni is an area in the hill. There is this bridge where at least 100 plus monkeys are sitting. And I still remember I was running Morni, and this was like my quick time. So I was in the hills with a lot of elevation thrown. I was probably going to do a sub 4, 350. So last kilometer stretch, people are standing on the other side and saying, "Sir, रुक जाओ, clear करवाते हैं." And I go, like you said, देखी जाएगी. मैं literally जैसे आंखें बंद करके ना, I ran through the monkeys के काट गया. But I remember it's like a 50-meter stretch. But just but वो था मेरे that thing ना कि I have to finish this in under 4 hours. And maybe I'll never get that. So that was such a strong driver that I pushed through. Even dogs border, it happens at night. दूर से सुन जाते हैं. But one time I was just lucky. Throughout the night, probably I'd seen 7-8 cars. And when I heard the dogs, a car came alongside. And I just, so साथ गाड़ी चला लेना please. थोड़ी For me personally, yes, like I said this before also. I love to sleep. I can sleep for 12 hours at a stretch. And मेरे को हमेशा लगता है ना race ना I will not be able to. I'll to go to sleep only someday. But for me, probably the night and that partly the fear or something works as a driver, as in I'm very alert. Keep at it, keep pushing, alert, focus, keep moving ahead. So you have to learn to use your vulnerabilities to your advantages. And I met a lot of people who said, the only reason why we're moving at night is because it gets to us, so which is why we keep moving. To each their own.
Makes sense. Sleep and recovery are obviously very important. And funnily enough, some people are able to push themselves for hundreds of kilometers. The same mind fails when it comes to getting sleep. How have you mastered the art of sleeping well?
I'm a very sound sleeper and I love to sleep, which is the reason I was saying that a lot of times in the morning, it's because the running joke over here is that people joke that I can run at any time. Even in 41, I can go in the afternoon and run and come back. For me, the biggest problem is probably getting up in the morning. And it's almost every day I will get up at 5:30. I'll get ready also and then go back to sleep. And the next thing you realize is 8:30 now. Which is why I said, now I've got this habit. If I get time at night, I will go run at night. Whenever I get time, but then it becomes, okay, I just need to complete my workout or whatever. And ye bhi hota a lot of times is that it's weighing on me. Yeah, subah se nahi kara, need to get to it. But I feel now sleep and recovery are very important, highly underrated. There's no point. Do whatever you want to, but these are two very underrated factors, and people unnecessarily push themselves. A lot of people say, "Mera to 4 hours maybe." I think so. For a sport like this, very very important.
That's true. So everyone has learning from life, learning from parents, learning from work. हमारे पास है learnings from ultra running. So what are your learnings from ultra running?
Ultra running, the biggest I keep saying is perseverance, consistency, and discipline. These are basic elements. We hear them all the time, but ultra teaches you this. You have to persevere, like I said, through your high phases, low phases. Chalo, high phases are the good ones. You feel like you're the king of the world. But when the low strikes, it's how you kind of persevere. And that's what separates good from bad. Consistency and discipline. Discipline means kind of doing the same thing every day consistently. So, wahi lagta hai. And I see a lot of people, and I kind of look, at least in our local group, who are very strong in these points, at least in terms of consistency, as in they will do this regardless. Mere case mein ho jai, if I sleep at 12 at night, now there is a 99% chance I'm not going to do anything. I will defer it, I will do this later, I will do this tomorrow. I will do it, but I will put it somewhere here. But then there are a lot of people who are super focused. They say, it has to be done, has to be done. So, wo ho jata hai. And I guess that's the beauty also is we're all different people. You have to learn to understand your own mindset. You can look at others. You have to see what works for you. We're all different. The best part is everybody kind of learns to adjust to that. But the three key takeaways are perseverance, consistency, and discipline.
And a lot of us get asked the question of balancing running with family, work, in angel investment in your case as well. When it comes to compromise, is running or your running workouts a no compromise, or you have actually compromised a lot and made your family happy as well?
You have to balance. At the end, this is your passion, might not be everybody's passion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
There is some amount of balance. I still feel I flounder a little bit on that front, but it's a hard balance, maintaining everything. The only way you can beat it is if you're consistent and disciplined. Like I said, you get up and do this every morning. You're not compromising on any family time or anything
Yeah.
because you've done this by 8 or 9. You've done it. Unfortunately, I don't end up doing that a lot of times. So there is a little bit of that here and there. But if you're disciplined, like I said, it's to manage it.
A lot of people end up converting it into runcations and taking their family along and convincing them that genuinely you are actually taking them for vacation. लेकिन आपका hidden agenda होता है कुछ run करना है.
मेरा अभी तक not happened very often. Races are separate and vacation is separate. But yes, जब भी कहीं जाए, I do end up looking कुछ हो तो नहीं रहा. If something happening, I can just piggyback a small event here or there. But the fun part is also I end up discovering a lot of new places. But when you end up there, at least as part of the run, that motivation is there. Let me get out. But I don't think so. I've done too many runcations. If I'm going for a run, somebody wants to tag along, fine. It's not.
आना है तो आ जाओ, मैं तो रन करने वाला हूँ, बाकी आप देख लो.
तो वो हो ही जाता जी, ठीक है. Lot of locations are not that bad. शिमला हो रही है, ठीक है.
Yeah. आप गाड़ी में जाओ, मैं दौड़ के आता हूँ.
वो है अभी भी, yes. And people have done that. A friend has done that locally. Family went to Shimla. He said, "Achha, now you drive back. I'll run back. I'll see you in 14 hours or so." So it happened a few weeks back also. We ran up to 𝗶𝗃 probably. A couple of weeks back, 60 kilometers. We all started, then 5 of us started. But along the way, everybody went here, there. And I, for one reason, had in my head sworn that I will go up to the entire point. So and then I realized, once I got there, I told my wife, I said, there is nobody here. And I'm not going to be able to walk back. Now 60 kilometers away, there's that place. I'm having breakfast, so take your hour and a half.
रोटे खाए आपने बैठ के रोड साइड पे?
After the run, तो आप जो मर्जी खिलाओ.
So running is solitude, me time for you, or you typically keep music with you? What's
I don't listen to music, but on these longer runs when I'm on the road, I never carry anything. It's just
safety wise.
Music would typically be where I'm running in a safe zone. Then definitely I have headphones. On my regular runs, I always wear. But I've also realized a lot of times it gives me things just come into my mind, so clarity of thought, maybe problems that I'm facing. Something just strikes you, and I've done this many times. I'll stop in between. I don't take notes, so I send an email to myself. वो क्या होता है? Because every run starts as hard, but you eventually get into a zone. Somewhere you kind of slip into your first 8 kilometers. When you get into that, then there is clarity of thought. Music might be there in your head. It's running in the background, but your brain then starts kind of... So वो हो जाता है. A lot of times I've had this कि ठीक है, ये हो रहा है, we can do this like that. Ideas, your thought maybe. So that's kind of worked very well.
And what type of music? Any favorite tracks? Any favorite artist?
Like I wrote a big heavy metal, but I run the music runs all over the place. Right from maybe whatever, Metallica, Rage Against the Machine. It's all over the place. Newer bands.
दादाजी सुनते ही हो कि साथ में गाना भी शुरू कर देते हो?
I don't sing. वो भी वैसे ही है. People still laugh. But like I said, every decade I pick up a hobby. So music was the first one. Every time something comes, so it becomes a part.
So music was first, then it was running. अब क्या है?
नहीं, music, then aquariums. So I still have a lot of aquariums.
अच्छा, wow.
That was
okay.
the second. फिर वो bird watching हुई. Bird watching पहले art आ गया. Then
so art making or collecting?
Finally, my wife and I run a gallery.
Is the painting behind you also one of your selects?
Apart from.
Achha. What is the furthest you've gone to get an art?
Anji?
What is the furthest you have gone to purchase a piece of art?
Literally furthest to nahi, but again with the angel thing, I still spend 2 hours every day researching for it.
And what are you looking for? Because it's very intuitive. Art is very intuitive.
Started in 2008. I remember I went with my dad's cousin. We picked up. He was buying some signed prints, and on a whim I said, "मैं भी लूँगा." Probably paid $800 or $1,000. I also bought It started from there, and then I don't know, it's kind of just engulfed me completely. So वो करा, which is why now gallery का ये रहता है कि you enjoy your passion also and you can make a run a little side hustle on that. Art था, then bird watching के.
Bird watching कैसे शुरू हुआ? Who got you into it?
Bird watching also accidental. Probably went once to the lake over here, Sukhna, with my dad and my elder daughter. Probably took some, for beginners luck कहते हैं ना, some rare kingfisher for this area. It's not rare otherwise, but not easily. It's seen in this region every 7-8 years. I just saw it. It was like literally the first photograph. But there it started, and then there is a bird group. So I don't get time to bird a lot, but so this is something that works during my running. I'm very alert. I keep looking out for all this. All kinds of wildlife, snakes, birds, deer, whatever I get to see. I'm one who carries my phone always with me while running. I always stop to take pictures. And
so, but you do a lot of trail also, because trail में आपको ज़्यादा मिलेगा ना wildlife तो.
मेरे को दिखने को जी, again where I stay, that lake, so that sunrise is a very beautiful वो हो जाता है. So we have a little trail also behind where you end up seeing. So you're right, trail में वैसे दिख जाता है. But typically वो रहता है कि early running में भी sometimes when you're really ना, so it becomes a distraction. You start looking around here and there. कुछ दिख जाएगा. So that keeps you moving. Running was the vehicle officially last hobby picked up.
You are credited to growing the Chandigarh angel ecosystem and the running ecosystem. कौन सा ज़्यादा difficult था?
नहीं, Chandigarh में the good part, both cases, both are different ecosystems, and Chandigarh that way is a strong entrepreneurial. There are lots of IT companies and
that is true, of course. Yeah,
the running and the health thing post COVID really took off. पहले इतना नहीं था, but after that much. So lots of active groups, running, cycling, swimming, just overall health, fitness, well-being. Lots of groups. It's just fun to be part of the system. Always good to stay connected.
That's very interesting. What I've heard is ultra running is difficult to sustain, whether we talk about the torture which the body goes through or from a financial perspective, it's obviously draining. Do you think it's sustainable for a large number of people? And some of these obviously has got to do with the volume. Once critical volume comes in, maybe the net cost will come down. Do you think there is a change likely to happen anytime, or it's going to remain the way it is?
Cost thing, I'm not so sure, because again, ultra is a very niche sport. Yes, cost is if you're going abroad, but then a lot of events happen. And yes, they are a little steep because they're harder to manage. There is no denying that. But then again, is something that's your personal choice. I know a lot of people who enjoy ultra but don't do any events. They can, I mean, a lot of folks here locally pretty much run a marathon every Sunday, 40, 50 kilometers. Because that thing is there. Just do typically best. Get up at 4, finish by 9, करने हैं 40. And regardless of summer, winter, there are no such, so वो नहीं है. But sustainability, like you said, on the body, yes, there is wear and tear. I came to be late, but now take a strength training. Probably, I feel I'm at that stage. I don't need to run so much. Probably need to focus more on overall strength. Running is something that, with practice, if you're doing an event, you can still build up and do that again. But sustainability, and that is what we joke in 10 years now. We see a lot of people come and go. So you're right, sustainability is a harder issue. So that's how rest, recovery, a lot of factors. One, and I guess that for every person, you can preach to a lot of people, but then every person picks up individually. It is only when they face an issue, when they realize and when they realign. But yes, it's a little harder to sustain.
What's been your experience with injuries? Have you had major injuries, and what was the experience like in case you did?
That's what God's been kind. I just had a plantar a couple of times. The first time was probably closer to the first comrades, and I never even knew what plantar was then. So simply I would put my foot down and I would feel something. And I was sitting in office where all of a sudden I had the shooting and I won't realize. And the second time I had plantar again, I knew this is the thing and strengthening needs to be done, which is why the exercise started. But very basic niggles, shin splints and all that. And something that I could sort out myself by exercise or somebody kind of guiding me through that. Nothing major besides that.
Is it because you got the technique right? You focused on good shoes, and I'm citing these because these are some of the main reasons why people do end up getting injury. Ek to shoes, not having the right technique. Kai baar compromising on the weekly runs, compromising on warm-ups, cool-downs. So were you very disciplined right from the beginning? Is that the factor here? Or?
I guess from the point where I started running a lot, the biggest driver probably, and I still do that, is I run very slow. I run on 𝗍𝗶𝗀𝗃, and that's how I started. I can run quick, so that's how I started. anytime I cross 135 on my watch, for example, I start walking myself. And that has been my biggest improvement also. I can run fast. I'm not saying I can probably still run at 430, 445 pace easy. But
with your HR being under 135?
No, that's my race rate. But this typically, see, it's warm right now, and it's 40, 41 degrees. To maintain that, now I probably have to run at 657. But
Yeah.
in winters, I can get it down to 615, 630. Depends on the weather also. But again, I just see my watch. And I could have days when in 2 hours, I can do 25 kilometers and days where I do 16 kilometers, same 2 hours. But
Yeah.
80, 90%, maybe 95% of my runs are easy. So I feel that's been my biggest savior from injuries, because injuries also, typically I notice new runners now, they will run fast, or that's how it is now. Running means run fast. I don't care. I run slow. I walk. A lot of times when I'm not able to get into a groove, I will walk, then start and getting back into the run. That I feel has been a major savior. All runs have been mostly HR.
Has running made you more spiritual? Are you more clear about life and purpose of life?
Not really. I still feel it. In my group, jokingly they call me the Narad. I keep joking. I'm like the perpetual joker, I guess. I'm not very spiritual. No. Like I can't do yoga, for example. Telling me, I say, I can't. मैं टिक ही नहीं सकता. I have to keep wisecracking or doing something. Or abhi, I would say no.
Okay. What is the question that you're still seeking an answer to?
Why do I run? What everybody else asks me, why do you run? And even I have no answer. And yet I want to run every day. But I have no answer. Why do I run?
What do you know now for sure that you didn't know for a very long time in life?
Nothing's permanent. Try and live in the present, I guess.
The frivolity of life.
Yes, that's true. And you see that very often.
Couple of quick lightning round questions.
Yeah.
Favorite bird you have spotted?
That's really hard. But maybe at the lake, I got a very close up of an owl, basically. Literally like a few inches away from me, and it didn't move. So I had to lie down on the track to take pictures with my phone. And you can't get pictures like that with a DSLR.
One song that deeply moves you?
There's going to be, I'm not a one song, one band. There are lots, and it depends on my mood. There are numerous such. I have a playlist now. I keep adding. So there's not one song. It really depends on my mood and what I want to listen.
One race or run which is still on your bucket list?
Oh, there are many, but I guess the first one has to be Sparta, still unfinished business.
Very interesting. A piece of art that you aspire for but have never got a chance to?
But there are many artists. They're way out of my budget league. But it's like every time some auction or catalog, I always pick one piece. Okay, if I had the money, I would buy this. But if I had, okay, this is the one thing I would pick up, basically.
One morning pre-run habit which you hate?
Waking up.
What is the food that you look forward to at the end of the run?
That's the second weakness. Now I love junk. Everything wrong that has been made, I crave. Anything deeply fried, I love. Anything sweet, I love. It's like,
and you're fulfilling these desires as well. Like you're not staying away from it.
Like I said, it's like a few days back we were eating outside. So somebody ordered some French fries. I started with one. And then 2 bowls were. Then I said, Acha, I don't want dinner. I'm done, basically. It was like one. And
so happy to hear your love for junk food has not been given up, right? A lot of people are like, oh, yaar, kitne saal ho gaye, pizza nahi khaya types.
I'm honestly not. I was, for example, even a late drinker to begin with. Pretty much kind of, I feel, left drinking by and large. A lot of people say run, but it's just that I don't crave. I'm not saying I want to, I will, but I don't want to leave anything just for the heck. Why? I want to do it on my own terms. I don't just because somebody told me to.
I'm sure a lot of people have got inspired by your running journey. Anyone who has inspired you? Any runner?
The first guy who started here was this guy, Amit Gulia. So I really when I started, I used to look up a lot, and I still do. This was back in the day when there were hardly 50, 100 people in India doing ultra running. So it was like a big event.
Any run which you would want to organize yourself one day? Okay, you would like to plan a route. ये ऐसी मैं कर सकता हूँ.
Never actually thought of it. We've always joked because we have this lake over here, the Sukhna Lake, and we always joke maybe do. And it's like a 5-kilometer loop. and has everything, but never the permission, but maybe like a long 24-hour thing over here, keep moving with people moving, so it becomes a little
Yeah.
more conflict. Never got the permission.
Favorite food you like during a run?
Chocolates.
मुझे
Lots
अभी
of
भी याद है केप टाउन में टू ओशन अल्ट्रा होती है एंड
हाँ जी,
इट हैड द एस्प्रेसो शॉट. आई एम नॉट अ कॉफी ड्रिंकर, आई एम अ टी ड्रिंकर, बट पन्नों ने बोला था वो एक्सप्रेसो शॉट जरूर लेना, एंड मैंने लिया एंड उसके बाद जो फुर्ती आ गई मैंने कहा यार.
आई एम अ बिग कॉफी ड्रिंक, ये सब तो मैं करता हूँ. बट ड्यूरिंग माय फर्स्ट कॉमरेड्स आई रिमेंबर बिकॉज आई वाज सो स्लो और मैं वैसे ही मर रहा था पीछे के. तो somebody offered me beer, मैंने बियर भी पी ली. किसी ने चिकन दिया, चिकन भी खा लेना. Because if you see, it's like full party mode. Every town you look, people are sitting up. Like India, में nobody looks at all of this. Na? There's nobody outside, nobody cheering. वहाँ पे the whole room is out. So it's like I spurge you कि at least यार यहाँ से तो निकल, and people joke, हंसते हैं. I keep this running name for myself, 𝗍𝗃𝗏𝗏. So that's my. All my t-shirts also say 𝗍𝗃𝗏𝗏. कितने लोग would joke यार, nice name. Something to keep moving. After the whole community is out there. People are speakers over there. They're lounging aram se and keeps you moving. Like I said, you want to enjoy a race, slowly karo, aram se masti mein karo. But when you're running fast, then there is no masti. You're simply moving.
Do you read a lot? Any inspiring books that you always like to recommend or cite?
I want to, and I unfortunately don't get the time. So now the other habit I picked up is I buy the book on Audible.
Audiobooks.
When in office only, I step down for an hour and I keep listening to the book on Audible and try and get 8-10 books done in a year. In that manner.
Any recent ones that you would like to cite and quote?
No, so I'm just reading 𝗍𝗃𝗏𝗧. I actually run 3 parallel books. One physical, one on Kindle, and one on Audible. Audible one the quickest basically because it's the most convenient right now. I still keep downloading and keeping them aside that maybe someday in my life I'll get. So I keep that. I use my credit every month to buy one. And I try and get diversity in. But I don't read fiction at all. Everything is non-fiction. I've not read fiction in probably 10-15.
Got it. Any books around running that you read which inspire?
I started with that.
Murakami.
Murakami, I read first.
Why We Run. Born to Run. Born to Run.
Yes, and then there's this runner come author. I forgot. Just so bad with names. So he covers these 3 races: Comrade, Sparta. He's a Brit author, ultra runner. He's done a couple of books. Then I've read Running with the Kenyans. So a few here and there, basically, just specific to running per se.
Got it. Now comes the last question, my favorite part. What's the question you have for me?
Question for you.
Yes.
So I guess, how do you do this? You do this weekly, right? Is it a month?
I'm telecasting one podcast every week now.
That's my thing. I don't have a question again. The point is your consistency. I have to learn from this. See, at the end, you have to realize even my own scheduling. It's not easy.
Yeah.
See, that's the deeper meaning for you. Like you said, maybe your dad's thing that keeps you driving. That's something I need to figure out myself. It's not so much of a question as in something I would take away from it.
So for me, the turnaround happened in December 2025 when I reached 50 episodes. Until then, I was like random था. कभी Monday को launch हो गया, कभी 2 हफ्ते बाद launch हुआ, कभी 3 हफ्ते बाद launch हुआ. I was not consistent in terms of the release. I would record them in advance, but release me was very random. And then I was like, I want to get to 100. And I want to get to 100 in 2026. Only way to do that is to launch one every week. Because so, अब वो आ गया तो I'm 11 episodes ahead. So I'm completely on schedule. I think your consistency comes with passion or comes with logic or comes with reason. एक बार आप वो reason attach कर दो. अगर वो 100 का goal नहीं बनाया होता मैंने तो मैं शायद weekly consistency नहीं लाता. ऐसा कोई pressure नहीं था, कोई driving force नहीं था. And obviously this is a passion project. I'm not doing it because of money or anything like that. तो passion में seriousness लाना बहुत जरूरी है. नहीं तो passion वो खेल वो.
WhatsApp status ना that great is a desire, passion and perseverance. That's a book also I heavily recommend to people also. Great by Angela Duckworth.
Oh yeah, life changing. 2018 में पढ़ी थी मैंने. आज भी I remember. By the way, she's just launching her next book and she's talking about it on social media.
मेरे लिए तो वो it kind of resonated with me. To become good at it, you have to have passion and you need to pursue. You need a mix.
That's true.
You don't have to be great basically, but just keep at it.
एंड कई जगह तो मैंने देखा है, बोलते हैं ना, वी आर द इजीएस्ट टू फूल एंड वी आर फूलिंग आवरसेल्व्स ऑल द टाइम. सो समटाइम्स इट्स अ प्योर क्वेश्चन ऑफ फूलिंग. मतलब वो 100 का टारगेट में अपने आप को बेवकूफ बना रहा है. ऐसा कोई there's no world record that I'm going to achieve. It's not that I'm going to get a medal or something. But अच्छा लग रहा है मन को, वो 100 हो जाएंगे.
It's a driver. You need that driver, na.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end, you need a driver.
Correct.
This is what you need. And it works for a lot of people. You need a basic driver.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, sir. This has been a wonderful discussion and very inspiring, the kind of journey that you're going through. And I hope that you achieve not just the Sparta challenge, but go beyond that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thank you.
You.
Yeah. See you.